rands respectively. The HSDG will be used on projects as detailed in the annual performance plan. With regards to the allocation of the conditional grants per housing intervention, honorable members were saying in terms of the financial allocation, we have received 508 million rands, 0.674 across the MTF period. And then incrementally, there is 1.735 billion rands. With regards to social and rental, there's 209.7 million. And with regards to rural allocation, there is 1.042.925 billion rands, which totals at 3.496 billion rands for this current financial year. The Financial Interventions Subcommittee provides for financial support to procure services relating to housing delivery. The subsidy instruments implemented include the procurement of land for housing development, the operational costs for accredited municipalities, National Home Builders Registration Council enrollment fees, operational capital budget programs, and implementation of the anti-land invasion strategy. And the department utilizes 3.7% of the HSDG to fund OPSCAP amounting to 125 million rands in order to procure professional services to assist in the implementation of housing projects. With regards to, again, allocation of the grants per district, the allocation per district is influenced by population demographics, by project planning readiness, and by increasing availability of bulk services. It also includes the ISUP, Expanded Public Works Program, and Title Deeds Restoration Program grants. And we are indicating, Honorable Chair, that for this current financial year, we will be allocating 169.3 million to Amajuba District, and for eThekwini, 1.4 billion rands, for Herikwala, 203 million rands, for Ilembe, 178.7 million, for Ugu, 224 million rands, for Umgungundlovu, 394 million, for Mkanyagude, 129 million, for Mzinyati, 178 million, for Tugela, 128 million, for Kings Etwayo, 187 million, and for Zululand, 236 million rands, which totals at 3.496.841 billion rands. Regarding the equitable share allocation per program, we are indicating, Honorable Chairperson, that the equitable share allocation was reduced by 3 million and by 8 million and 12 million rands over the MTF period. This was part of fiscal consolidation and adjustment to compensation of employees due to revised CPI inflation projections. Treasury's cost-cutting measures were stringently implemented during the budget process, resulting in the reduction in expenditure in various items relating to goods and services, machinery, and equipment. The department stands to have a further reduction in equitable share of a possible 11.4 million rands to assist the 500 billion rands funding that was allocated for COVID-19 related costs, as declared by His Excellency the President of the Republic of South Africa. And this reduction will create pressure on spending for compensation of employees as well as goods and services. With regards to the allocation of our budget, Honorable Chairperson, we are saying we are allocating 254.5 million rands for administrative purposes, and we are also allocating 20.2 million rands for housing needs, research and planning, and 108 million rands for housing development, and 50.245 million rands for housing assets management and property management, and the total is 433.056 million. We have a vision, Honorable Chairperson, as a department of ensuring that we provide sustainable and livable human settlements for our people. But a vision without action is a daydream. Sithi-ke sihlalo thina asithembisi siyenza. A summary of our delivery in program 2019-2020 is as follows. We have serviced sites in this province. There are about 5,806 serviced sites in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. We have built 15,516 units. We have created 4,386 work opportunities, and we have issued 4,469 title deeds. Last year, Honorable Chairperson, we want to emphasize that we have a commitment of providing access to well-located and desirable land and the upgrading of informal settlements. And I'm pleased to announce that we have acquired a total of 174 hectares of land in the 2019-2020 financial year for housing development. And under the upgrading of informal settlements programs, the department has delivered a total of 4,134 houses in the last financial year. The Honorable Premier announced the gazetting of 6 priority housing development areas, which are in Lembe, Tewini, Mpumundovu, and King Cetwayo. The priority human settlements development areas are underpinned by the principles of the National Development Plan, and they are intended to advance human settlements, spatial transformation, and consolidation by ensuring that the delivery of housing is used to restructure and revitalize towns and cities, strengthen the livelihood prospects of households, and overcome apartheid spatial patterns by fostering integrated urban reforms. Further to the Premier's announcement, the Minister of Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation, Honorable Lindiwe Sisulu, also declared an additional 16 priority human settlements and housing development areas in KwaZulu-Natal. Our vision going forward, we are confronted by several challenges which compels us to think creatively. Inadequate bulk infrastructure and an increasing backlog to upgrade informal settlements has not deterred us. Compounding the challenges of eradicating informal settlements are beneficiaries who, after being permanently relocated to formal houses, often call their relatives to occupy their informal dwellings. We move them to solid structures, and then they invite others to go and occupy the informal dwellings. We have identified 745 informal settlements for upgrading across the province of KwaZulu-Natal, with the majority in eThekwini Metro. They have 522 informal settlements at eThekwini. 81 informal settlements in 6 districts, namely Herigwala, Ilembe, Zululand, Ugu, Mgungundlovu, and Tugela, are currently receiving attention. The remainder of the informal settlements will be attended to in the next MTSF period. The eradication of transit camps in eThekwini remains a priority as announced by the Honorable Premier. This requires a collaborative effort from government and civil society. As a short-term intervention, a number of infill sites have been identified to relocate some of the families in transit camps. These are in areas such as Quarry Heights, Kingsborough, and Craigieburn. The necessary studies are being undertaken in these areas to allow for the design and construction of houses. The enforcement of bylaws will play a critical role in ensuring that where we have relocated people to permanent houses, the transit camps will be demolished to avoid them being invaded by by new occupants. The outcome can only be achieved through collaborative efforts via the district development model. In the main, and by its very nature, human settlements delivery is district-oriented. Our senior managers participate in district structures to effect efficient service delivery. Honorable Chairperson, you will be aware that the department is currently busy sanitizing all informal settlements under the COVID-19 precautions. With regards to our other housing typology, which we refer to as social housing and community residential units, we are saying, Honorable Chairperson, we have an intention of upscaling the delivery of social housing in order to meet the increasing demand for rental housing in urban areas. Social housing is a program for beneficiaries earning between 3,500 and 15,000 rand, which does not provide an ownership option. It can only be implemented in designated and gazetted provincial restructuring zones. In KwaZulu-Natal, we already have 34 designated restructuring zones located across 7 municipalities. Social housing is provided by accredited social housing institutions as well as other delivery agents under the Social Housing Act of 2008, number 16, Act number 16 of 2008 in partnership with government. For social housing to be sustainable, it is crucial that tenants make their monthly rental payments. And in an effort to increase the number of social housing delivery entities in the province, during this the financial year 2019-2020, the department held social housing information sessions in all districts across the province. We placed on record our intention to introduce and develop at least 3 African social housing institutions that will be accredited by the Social Housing Regulatory Authority. I am pleased, Honorable Person, to report that 5 African SHIs from KwaZulu-Natal were accredited in the 2019-2020 financial year. We will endeavor to make a significant contribution to the President's national target of 37,000 rental units, and to this end, I approved the social housing 5-year plan in 2019-2020, which will see the province deliver over 15,000 social housing units over the next 5 years. 6 sites in eThekwini municipality comprising 1,246 units have already been allocated to SHIs for development under the Inner City Regeneration Catalytic Project, the Bridge City Social Housing Project in eThekwini, and Hospital Street Social Housing Project in Newcastle are ready to go to construction with 200 units set to be completed in 2020-2021. The total yield from these 2 projects is 2,186 units. And as part of the social housing program, we saw the completion of the Hampton Social Housing Project in eThekwini municipality, which will see 432 tenants benefiting from the rental option. Under the Community Residential Units Program, which caters for the refurbishment of existing hostels, as well as provision of new rental accommodation to beneficiaries earning between 800 to 3,500 per month, 400 new CRUs will be delivered in 2020-2021 financial year, and these will be from the N11 CRU project in Newcastle municipality, Kokstad CRU project in Kokstad, Jigajo CRU project in Sunduzi, and Ubuhlebethu CRU project in Ubuhlebezwe municipality. The department has engaged in a consultative process with various stakeholders, including municipalities, in order to turn around the circumstances surrounding KZN community residential units. As a result, a provincial 20-year hostel strategy was approved in 2019-2020. The strategy aims to guide the process of upgrading, maintaining community residential units located across the KwaZulu-Natal province through a more comprehensive approach that incorporates the plan to address social-related challenges infrastructural, construction, and maintenance needs per hostel. In rolling out the strategy, the department, together with municipalities, will be embarking on a following project in 2020-2021 financial year. The conversion of the Nhlalakahle hostel Mvoti to 336 CRU units, completion of 48 new CRUs in Imlazi T hostel in eThekwini, commencement of the construction of 68 new CRUs in Thokoza hostel at eThekwini municipality. With regards to catalytic project, Honorable Chairperson, we are proud to announce that Vulindlela Enhanced People's Housing Project in Sundus local municipality is nearing completion. Only 345 units are remaining in this 25,000 unit project. As indicated by the Honorable Premier, 1,713 workers were employed during the construction period, and I can indicate further that of these, 51 were in slab construction and 106 in wall plate construction. And the project opened up much needed local business opportunities in terms of material supplies, subcontractors, transportation, and so forth. And through the Vulindlela project, community members have acquired skills to manufacture their own building blocks, the doors, the windows, and there are local cooperatives in each ward that have undertaken the construction of slabs, wall plates, as I've already alluded to. A skills audit of all the cooperatives on the project is being undertaken to assist the department to ascertain the training requirements for the cooperatives in order for them to graduate and enter into the mainstream construction line. Yet another testimonial of the province setting the pace is the implementation of catalytic projects. The progress on the 8 catalytic projects is as follows. Konubia, we had a yield of 28,000 units. eThekwini Inner City, 8,387 units. KwaMashu Brick City, 27,875 will be achieved. Umlazi Urban Regeneration eThekwini, 12,000 units. Currently, 9,152 units have been built today, and 11,000 units have basic interim services. Mawoti, 20,000 units. Detailed planning activities are underway for development of the area, and all professionals have been appointed. Another catalytic project is the Johnston Blauboch Cavern in Newcastle, Majuba. Planning activities have been completed. Hyde Park, statutory planning approvals pending. Empangeni, we are expecting a yield of 10,000 units. Empangeni phase 1 will yield 1,745 units. Those are all our 8 catalytic projects that we wanted to reflect on, Honorable Chairperson. With regards to serviced sites, we do have a program of servicing sites which caters for people who want to build their own homes. And we are currently, it's currently being rolled out in Nkosilangan, Balele, Mhlatuze, and Asemhlatuze municipalities in the 2020-2021 financial year. And the overall program is over 5 years, and we are finalizing allocation policy for the release of sites to qualifying individuals. Beneficiaries of the program must be able to sustain ownership and must commit to building a habitable dwelling as approved by municipality and the NHBRC on the allocated site within a period of 5 years. The spread of the 14,927 service sites across 10 local municipalities in the province. Regarding the rural interventions, the department is committed to improving the quality of life of our rural citizens, especially bearing in mind that KZN is actually predominantly a rural province. The department has targeted to deliver 22,367 rural houses, over the MTF period. And in the last financial year, 9,874 houses were delivered and 7,817 is targeted for the current financial year. Rural interventions also include housing assistance to farm residents. The Farm Residents Housing Assistance Program attempts to address the wide variety of housing needs of people working and residing on farms by providing a flexible package of housing models to suit the local content. Planning activities for the farm workers and residents living in Ebujabuleni, Ebuhleni, and Rosetta within Bofana municipality has already commenced. Honorable Chairperson, I remember the words of Mother Teresa as I perform my duties as part of a caring government, where she said, I quote, "We think sometimes that poverty is only being hungry, naked, and homeless. The poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty," I close quotes. The department has delivered 5,642 BNG housing units across the province in 2019-2020, and the main beneficiaries being the poorest of the poor, women-headed and child-headed households. In line with the resolutions of the summit with disabled people, currently 2,900 people with disabilities were identified for priority housing. Regarding emergency housing, Honorable Chairperson, we are saying emergency housing assistance remains a key area of urgent intervention for destitute families identified through Operation Sukma Sake program. The department is working hard to address the backlog on OSS interventions, and further progress will be realized in this financial year as there are now 17 contractors who have been identified by the department, and we do have a database now of those service providers who may fast-track the delivery of OSS emergency housing. Another critical area of urgent intervention of emergency housing assistance is related to disasters. Over the past decade, the province has been affected by disasters that have left families homeless when their houses were totally destroyed or partially destroyed. The construction of temporary units for those families have assisted a great deal. The tornado disaster Empolweni Mshwati municipality within Ugu district in November 2019, where close to 200 families had their houses totally destroyed, and temporary houses were built within a period of 2 months, and more than 500 families were supplied by building material to repair their own houses, is a good example. With regards to EPWP, Honorable Chairperson, we are saying to make a greater impact on job creation, the department introduced the Skills Development Program funded through the incentive grant of EPWP. And during 2019-2020 financial year, a total of 122 young people in various districts successfully completed accredited skills development training. And during this current financial year, the department will continue with this program and is planning to offer accredited training to 120 young people in various districts. Also during the 2020-2021 financial year, the department is targeting to create about 5,000 work opportunities through EPWP on human settlements projects under construction. Over the past 5 years, the department has created 33,014 working opportunities. Last year alone, we created 4,386 work opportunities, which were created through the department's housing delivery project. Honorable Chairperson, we previously announced an intention to implement innovative building technologies and explore innovative technologies that may address climate change, carbon emissions, and greening of our human settlement. I'm pleased to announce that there is a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Higher Education, Science and Innovation which is being finalized, where one of the areas of collaboration is, innovative building technologies. A pilot project involves a 3D printed house using the expertise of the University of Johannesburg. The department's product development unit is engaged with the concept document of the greening of settlements and reducing carbon emission. The document will be submitted to the Department of Environmental Affairs and institutions that provide funding for greening initiatives. NHBRC is designing a house that adapts to climate change for the National Department of Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation. And the project development unit is investigating how the design can be adapted to address the risk and vulnerability profile of the different climatic zones in the province. In partnership with government departments such as DARD and other entities, the department has resuscitated the One Home, One Garden and One Home, Two Fruit Trees program. Of course, it's a partnership program with the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. And of course, we'll also partner with other departments like your Department of Environmental Affairs to ensure that where we have projects, then we ensure that there is also food security. That is our approach going forward. With regards to the housing consumer education program, we are aiming at educating our consumers and the public at large on human settlement programs, obligations, and rights. In the last financial year, this program has reached out to 13,892 beneficiaries against a target of 8,000 beneficiaries.
You've got 5 minutes remaining. You've got 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Chair. Okay, thank you. We are saying the department has a consumer education strategy that is being developed. And with regards to human capital, Honorable Chairperson, we are very pleased to announce that 59% of management members are women in our department, and we have 13 persons with disabilities. We are not proud of that, and we are committing that we will improve on that. With regards to graduate intention program, we do have that program. It equips unemployed graduates with the necessary skills, knowledge, values, and work experience. And we have set aside an allocation of 1.855 million rands that was spent during the 2019-2020 current financial years, and our target is women. Regarding title deeds, that program is very slow, Honorable Chairperson. We are not proud as the department. There are varying reasons why the program is not moving as fast as we would love it to be. So, Honorable Chairperson, we are heeding to the clarion call at Tumamina as the department. In summary, we do have deliverables, Honorable Chairperson, that will be reflected in the document that we have submitted as the department, and we wish to conclude by saying that as the Department of Human Settlements, we believe that we are on track. We are setting high standards because our people have high expectations. The call for livable and sustainable human settlements has been amplified by the COVID-19 outbreak. Our staff have been hard at work, and we will always be grateful to them for having allowed themselves, to participate in ensuring that our people are safe. Let me also take this opportunity to humbly express my gratitude to the African National Congress for the unwavering support we always enjoy from the leadership and branch members as deployees in various sites of the struggle. Comrades, we want to say to you, we are not perfect. We will falter somehow, but we always draw our strength from knowing that we have your support and encouragement. My sincere gratitude goes to the chairperson and members of the portfolio committee for their guidance and counsel we always receive. My utmost thanks must also go to the head of department, Mr. Zungu, and the entire staff component for their unwavering support. I also wish to thank my family, especially my grandchildren, who always amuse me, even during depressing moments. Siumnyango sithi umuntu ngumuntu ngekhaya. Ngiyabonga kakhulu, Hlala.
Thank you, Honorable MEC Peggy Onyeni. Usigcinile isikhathi. Now let's move swiftly to Honorable LXH Wamadlala to give us a chairperson's report of the portfolio committee. Thank you. You've got 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the Executive Council, honorable members of the Legislature, invited guests and departmental officials, compatriots and friends. Today I present this committee report at the time when our country is facing pandemic COVID-19, which has sent waves of fear among our citizens. Our salute goes to the South African government for speedy response to this epidemic. This is a budget report of the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements. The Portfolio Committee met with the Department of Human Settlements on the 23rd of April 2020. Two documents were tabled and discussed in that meeting, and these were APP and Budget 2020-2021 respectively. In the APP 2020-21, the Department of Human Settlements was seeking to show the committee the alignment between its strategic plan and the APP. As part of strategic planning model, the department developed a new mission which seeks to transform human settlements into livable neighborhoods through integrated human settlements programs in areas with major economic opportunities and empowerment of all designated groups. The department, as part of the strategic plan, again developed, has outcomes set out as follows: improved good governance, spatial transformation through multi-program integration in priority development areas, adequate housing and improved quality living environment, improved security of tenure, economically transformed human settlement sector. The department has 4 programs, and in each of these programs, measurable targets and objectives, as well as key performance measures and indicators are delineated. The 4 programs are aligned to the housing sector. Budget 2020-21, the total budget allocation to the Department of Human Settlements is 3.9 billion, a decrease by 267,123 million. This budget services 4 programs that the department has and aligned to the housing sector. Departmental programs are as follows. Program 1, administration. The purpose of this program is to identify and eliminate bottlenecks, as well as continuously improve the flow of financial, administrative, and management information. The strategic objectives of this program are to strengthen governance and service delivery. Allocation to this program is sitting at 254,969 million rands. Program 2, Housing Needs, Research and Planning. The purpose of this program is to develop tools to guide departments' investment decisions and to provide policy and support to the housing delivery process. In addition, the program provides for the facilitation and integration of housing sector planning, education of stakeholders in housing sector planning, alignment of the housing budget with the current and future housing needs, and the capacitation of housing stakeholders for housing delivery through mentorship and training. Program 2 has 4 sub-programs that are in line with the human settlement sector, namely administration, policy planning and research. The allocation to this program is 20.258 million. Program 3 chairperson is housing development. This is where the core function of the department lies. It is where the implementation and monitoring of housing delivery within all districts and metros through various subsidy mechanisms in terms of national and provincial policies is found. Program 3 has 5 sub-programs which are in line with the uniform budget and program structure of the human settlements sector, and these are administration, financial interventions, incremental interventions, social and rental interventions, and rural interventions, and the allocation to the program is 99.466 million. Program 4 is housing asset management, property management. This program is responsible for the management of ex-Natal provincial administration and own affairs stock, including residential properties, vacant land, and a variety of other non-residential properties, all of which belong to the KZN Housing Fund. Properties under this program are transferred to individual occupants in terms of the EEDBS, sold in the open market or devolved to municipalities. Allocation to this program is sitting at 47.106 million. Allocation for the MTEF budget 2021, it should however be noted that the allocation was done before the COVID-19 pandemic. This COVID-19 pandemic will affect the performance of the department and ultimately the budget. The department will have to find funding in the budget and respond and intervene in the quest of the government to flatten the curve. The department has started the intervention by buying sanitizers and decontaminating the informal settlements. This will be rolled out throughout the province. The breakdown on 2021 chairperson is as identified. I'm not going to be going through that. Members can just read on their own spare time. Areas of concern, Honorable Chairperson, the committee was concerned about the reduction in the EPWP program allocation. The concern is because EPWP allocation played a strategic role in giving skills that could be used on the job market, thus alleviating poverty. The lockdown because of the COVID-19 pandemic will delay construction and ultimately delay the delivery of human settlements projects. The department was urged to come up with a recovery plan to make up for time lost during the lockdown period. The committee notes that the department is working diligently with all those municipalities lacking capacity in delivery of human settlements. The department has programs that were seeking to empower youth, women, and military veterans. As I conclude, Honorable Chairperson, the committee supported the budget for the Department of Human Settlements as presented, except for the Democratic Alliance, which reserved its support.
Thank you, Honorable Emene, Presiding Officer, Honorable Cow. Now we are going for the budget debates, and to kick off our budget debates, we'll go straight to Honorable Hlabangani, TS Mchalo of the African National Congress for 10 minutes.
This conference might also give them information, some of the information that they are looking for. The issue of interim reports is...
You can start, Honorable Sabangane. We are eating into your time.
Quite a few times in media conferences that we have had. And the answer that we have given...
Chair, thanks for an opportunity. Greetings to the MEC and all the honorable members. Allow me first and foremost, Chair, to state that I've titled my speech, Honorable MEC, Tomorrow will be better than today, and I'll elaborate as I go along as to why did I reflected on that. Honorable Chair, allow me first and foremost to say that we are debating today in the month of June, where it is known in South Africa to be a youth month, as a result of the uprising where young people took to the street to demand what was due to them. We call on upon today the current generation to also be effectively involved towards the economy, in particular in the human settlement sector. We are calling upon them to be part of our struggle towards ensuring that we fight COVID-19 as it has become a pandemic, and we are seeing it to be a crisis that has been taken us to such areas that we have never been before, not only as a country, but globally also. It is on this basis, Honorable Chair, that we must begin to define as to, according to us, what does human settlement mean to our people? And in my view, Honorable Chair, I will say that in my view, human settlement means a place for safety, for I know no safer place than home, especially for the poor. It's a shelter for rainy days. It's a warmth in those cold days in winter that our people sometimes face. It is a place to live with our families, a comfort zone that we find ourselves to be comfortable and sharing all the good and the bad times that we face. It is a place where it's where everything begins and it's where everything ends. I'm saying it's where everything begins, Honorable Chair, because even a newborn child has to be taken to home. Human settlement means a lot of things to our people, but let us begin to see what Freedom Charter says when it speaks about the human settlement. And I quote, this is what it says: "There shall be houses, security and comfort. All people shall have the right to live where they choose, to be decently housed, and to bring up their families in a comfort and security," close quote. And this is what should be on the minds of everyone who works within the Department of Human Settlement, as well as us in particular as honorable members who belong to the Portfolio Committee of Human Settlement. What has been said by the NDP with regards to 2030 vision and trajectory, it states as follows, and I quote, Honorable Chair: "Our human settlements trajectory proposes that by 2050, visible results from the effective coordinated spatial planning systems shall have transformed human settlements in South Africa into equitable and efficient spaces with citizens living in close proximity to work with access to social facilities and necessary infrastructure." It further goes on to say, by 2030, we strive to achieve measurable progress towards breaking apartheid spatial patterns, with significant advances made towards reforming existing settlements, offering the majority of South Africans access to adequate housing, affordable services in better living environments within a more equitable and functional residential property market, close quote. We shall not tire until this is achieved as a fundamental basis towards creating a national democratic society as envisaged by the African National Congress, which you will know better, Honorable MEC. These actions should be achieved, Honorable Chair, by the Department of Human Settlements with the context of fulfilling its mandate expressed in Section 26 of our Constitution, which states as follows: "Everyone has the right to have access to adequate housing. The state must take reasonable legislative and other measures within its available resources to achieve the progressive realization of this right," close quote. It is on this basis, Honorable Chair, that we are fundamentally resolute as the African National Congress that we should continue with the amendment of Section 25, which leads to the expropriation of land without compensation, precisely because we want our land so that we're able to build more houses for our people. We want our land so that we're able to get the necessary infrastructure for our people. We want our land so that we're able to utilize what the Department of Human Settlement is doing, which we called bulk services. This time again, we are building houses where water must already be running. We are building houses where there must be electricity. It is on this basis that we are not going to stop, but we remain resolute in saying that bring back our land. We are remaining resolute that we shall fight for the amendment of Section 25, because indeed we call for the expropriation of land without compensation. Bring back our land. Honorable Chair, there is an acknowledgement that the sustainability of human settlements, our residential areas rely on good infrastructure such as public transport, water, energy sources, and public spaces, and accessibility of essential community services, such as schools, shop, healthcare, and facilities for families and children. Therefore, a strategy for human settlement should strive for the establishment or viability of such. It is on this basis that we are fully aware that an apartheid government made it clear that more in particular, Black people should not be having houses that makes it easy for them to access the economy. We were subjected to be taken far away from areas of the economy, so that for us, it takes forever to reach that area, because a Black person was never given an opportunity to participate in the economy of his country, while we're known to be slaves who must only work in particular for the white man. It is on this basis that the economically integrated communities located in the areas allowing convenient access to the economic opportunities as well as health and educational institutions should be a firm resolution that the Department of Human Settlement will be advancing. It is on this background, Honorable Chair, that we don't take kind when the department fails to meet its target that set out in their APP. It is on this basis that we don't take kind when the department fails to utilize or spend on its budget allocation. But we're happy with you, Honorable MEC, and the department, because not only have you been able to spend what is allocated to you, but you also get to be allocated more funding, which is being taken from other provinces who could not or who would have failed to utilize what is budgeted for. That is why we are saying towards meeting their targets for working, it is about the tomorrow that will be better than today, which we are promising to our people. As I conclude, Chairperson, we are now traveling along the uncharted road. The national disaster of COVID-19 presents the opportunity to the entire of our nation and the people of KZN in particular to give concrete to the call we made of us to unite in action and act in unity to keep our country on course. While it is a period of challenges, it is also a period of opportunity, and an opportunity to do things differently with speed and efficiently in a very short period. This will give credence to what I said when I started my speech, that tomorrow will be better than today. It is a commitment we are making to our people. It is a commitment we are making to the people of KZN. Through human settlement, we are the people who must confirm as the ANC-led government to our people that tomorrow will be better than today. Those who are suffering, those who are going through difficult situation as a result of COVID-19, we are here saying to you today, tomorrow will be better than today, because it is a journey that we are going to walk with you. For in the end, we know that it all begins at home and it ends at homes, and you shall provide the necessary conducive environment for better home, because indeed we are confirming that tomorrow will be better than today. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mchali. We are now going to move to Honorable TJ Gumede of the IFP. Can you hear me? We are now going to move to Honorable TJ Gumede of the IFP for 7 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to the Leader of the Opposition, executive members, honorable members of the House, fellow South Africans. In April this year, South Africa marked its 26 years of democracy, which means that we are not young anymore. And that dictates that the government in all its spheres must move to a future quite distinct from the past, a future that will move away from conversations into practicality that is holistic. And that reminds me of John Block in his book titled Community, The Structure of Belonging. In his book, John reminds us that a total sense of belonging is felt when some or anyone has a shelter above his or her head. A decrease of 261.6 million in the baseline allocation of human settlement is regrettable because this department is plagued with backlogs. But we also welcome the ring-fenced amount of 464.8 that will go towards informal settlements. Having said that, the underperformance within the department is also worrying. This informal settlement eradication strategy was developed in 2011, but to date, the department only claims to have delivered only 346 houses and have got 4,417 sites in various municipalities in the year 2019-2020, two less in comparison to the residents of this category. Out of 85 transit camps in Tegwini alone, only Ispingo is currently receiving some attention. Some of these camps have been in existence for more than 10 to 15 years. So we say as IFP, service delivery is most judged by the physical outlook of the citizens rather than what is written in black and white. I will skip the issue of title deeds because it was explained to the committee and we will wait for its outcomes. But abaziyo abake balima bayazi ukuthi awukwazi ukuqhubeka nensimu uma ungakwazi ukuthunthutha ukhula osuluhlakulile. Irregular expenditure threatens to be the inherent feature of this department. It incurred 5.4 billion irregular expenditure in 2018-2019 and in the previous financial years. As at 31st March 2019, 29 municipality projects to the value of 419.5 million were declared irregular. We know some of the things are not the department's fault, but they come from the third party. Some contracts were given to contractors without tax certificates or expired ones, poor contract and procurement contracts. There were internal investigations that were never settled or did not come to an end. Department investigated several cases ranging from irregular transfers of flats and houses, fraudulent claims of substance and travel claims, fraudulent qualifications, irregular appointment of staff in administration and auxiliary services, and some officials doing business with state. Some of these investigations have more than financial year for its completion. All of these above talks from poor planning, lack of agency and purpose in implementing programs, resulting in the general slow performance in completing projects, poor partnerships with municipalities and other stakeholders. Therefore, the department, we urge, if possible, to empower the municipalities, especially in the field of supply chain management. Poor and untimed monitoring of projects, it's also problematic. Every project has its life cycle. If those cycles could be timed and oversight done immediately with each cycle life of a project, will avert all these backlogs. Poor consequence management. With this budget that we as IFP support, the department must please empower municipalities and help them with the bulk infrastructure, because that's where also the problem lies. Housing is the most fundamental service delivery in a human life. and we wish to support, and I thank you, but basic steps must be taken. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Kumete. We are now moving to Honorable Mayor LM for 8 minutes of the DA.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, members, and all watching us on YouTube today. Hello, Mom. Before I start, also want to remember that today is, or this month, is Gay Pride Month, where we also celebrate and remember how human rights is still a battle for many people in this world. Speaking on a budget in the midst of a current crisis is not easy. We are discussing and voting on a budget that we know will have to be seriously adjusted very soon. In this very department, we know that we will not meet our targets for the current budget here, as the department had to stop most of our projects for the lockdown, and this means budget overruns and even more pressure on our new budget. But the concerns and the principles of this budget will remain the same and needs to be addressed here today. Let me start by saying that I really have a lot of sympathy for the HOD, the CFO, and yes, also for Honourable MEC with this budget. The reality is that housing backlog keeps increasing, the number of informal settlements keeps increasing, and our budget allocation from national government is once again significantly cut. The department is expected to do more with less. Finding a budget that is able to do this cannot be an easy task. Now, on why we are seeing an ever-shrinking budget from the ANC-run national government, we can and should debate. But here now, we need to deal with the reality that we have millions less to spend and a lot to spend it on. Those who need to eat from the cake is getting more, but our slice of the cake is getting smaller. Unfortunately, it seems that we keep looking at the same answers for the same questions, but with less money to do so. The fact of the matter is that we as a portfolio committee, our MEC and a department needs to sit down, throw out the old book and find new approaches to these old problems. The new approaches need to be cost effective, from different building materials, and I heard the MEC mention it, to different building methods and a lot more. There are more cost effective ways to reach our targets. These new approaches need to be modern, in touch with social demands, economic demands, and environmental demands we all currently face. With a larger budget, we struggle to achieve what we set out to achieve, so we cannot expect to do better with less money if we are just going to try and keep doing things the same way. I want to specifically focus, Honourable Chairperson, on a few points. And let us start with title deeds. By the third quarter of the current financial year, the department has underspent on its budget for providing title deeds with over 39 million rand. The department only reached 34% of its target. And every report we get from the department, we are getting the same answers, the same reasons to why this is happening. Title deeds is not just a piece of paper. It is a gift of dignity to people whose dignity was robbed by an unjust system. Title deeds are a possible doorway to economic freedom. And title deeds are a vital part of our national project of undoing the injustices of the past. The sad fact is that we have elderly South Africans who celebrated freedom in 1994 and then just 2 decades later have passed away, never able to know the joy of holding a title to the house they've lived in, raised their children in, and ultimately died in. In the new budget, we know that the grant for title deeds are being absorbed into the DSG, but the DSG is also being cut, which means there will be a lot less money available for the title deed program, and thus the backlog will increase. The new targets for pre and post 1994 title deeds transfers of 2020-21 is 48,224, total of the pre-1994 housing stock being over 14,000, and post-1994 housing stock being 34,178. A dream chair is a cherished aspiration or an ambition, an ideal. Thousands of our citizens in KZN are dreaming of owning the house they stay in. They dream of being able to call this home their own. And these are good dreams. But this government cannot live in a dream world. It's the responsibility of government to make this dream a reality. If the government does not find a way to ultimately deal with the backlog of title deeds, if this government does not make this important move to deal with these injustices of the past, it will forever just remain a dream. As Douglas Everett said, there are some people who live in a dream world, there are some who face reality, and there are those who turn one into the other. Which one will you be, Honourable MEC? We need to also cut out the nice-to-haves. The title deed in the hand is a lot more important than having a fancy handover party. In the current economic climate, we need to ensure that every cent is spent on the primary function of the department and not the glitter that this government seems so to like. So we need to be innovative and find new ways to fix the problem. Another serious matter, now more important than ever, is the upgrade of informal settlements. Informal settlements is another terrible leftover from an unjust system, part of why apartheid was a crime against humanity. But when it comes to informal settlement upgrade program, we are just not getting bang for our buck. It is also important for us to learn the lessons from the COVID-19 outbreak. The reality is that our informal settlements are inherently unhealthy spaces. They are overcrowded, they have terrible to no sanitation, removing of refuse is unreliable, and there are places that puts the residents of these informal settlements at risk. Let us learn from our experiences from the lockdown to plan and develop better informal settlements. Now, do not get me wrong. Ultimately, we want to live in a province in a country where there are 0 informal settlements and not the 743 informal settlements currently in the province. But we must also deal with reality. The housing backlog is growing. In 1994, the housing backlog was 1.5 million. Now, over just 2 decades later, it's estimated at 2.1 million nationally, and in KZN at around 740,000. It will take many more decades before we as a nation and as a province realize our goal of dignified housing for all. Thus, we must also work harder and smarter to make our informal settlements safer places for our people to live. In 2020-21, funds in respect of informal settlements upgrading amounting to 446.859 million rand are ring-fenced within the HSDG, and then specific conditions which will include for future at least 15% of HSDG must be spent on informal settlement upgrading. So whilst the DA welcomes 15% of funding being put aside for this important project, we are just not getting enough for our money here. In Afrikaans, we say, dit is baie vere, maar min voël. Chair, it is a lot of feathers, but very little bird. We need to be smarter in how we are spending our shrinking budget. Honourable Speaker, I'm sure all of us in the legislature want the same thing when it comes to human settlements. We want to see the people of our province with dignified housing, housing in their names, and to eradicate slums. But the reality is that we have less and less money to do so, so this government must change its ways. The new buzzword is the new normal. The reality is the government is still using 1990s answers for 2020s questions. As Franklin D. Roosevelt said, it is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something. Thank you, Chair.
Unfortunately, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Mayor, we have run out of time. Thank you. We are now moving towards the next speaker from the African National Congress, Honourable Ishmba for 10 minutes.
Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Speaker of the Legislature, Honourable Premier and the Executive Members, Honourable Members of the House, distinguished guests, I greet you all in the name of the African National Congress, the organization of the people which produced brilliant ideas of our fallen heroes such as Ubaba Uheri Gwala. Though they are no longer with us, however, their ideas still live on us. While we are in the month when we remember the Lion of Natal Midlands, which passed on during this month of June. Chairperson, allow me to start by saying sometimes we wonder when the DA talk about the title deeds, knowing very well that their forefathers are the one who made it sure that the Black people does not have title deed. We are very disappointed or surprised that a person from the DA can stand on the floor and said the issue of issuing title deed is very slow. As the ANC, we are making sure that the people who are supposed to receive the title deeds are receiving the title deeds. So we wonder why the DA is complaining about the title deeds, because we are where we are because of their forefathers. Chairperson, it is an honor for me to participate in this significant debate, debating on Vote 8 Human Settlement Budget, where this budget aims to address spatial development inequalities as a result of our past and promotes economic growth that creates jobs. Chairperson, the document of the people, the Freedom Charter, spoke to the need of the heal of the scars caused by the segregation laws of the past in view of establishing society based on democratic values, such justice and protection fundamental rights. Honorable Chairperson, the budget debate is crucial as it plays an instrumental role in transformation by advancing the redistribution of coordinating scarce resources towards synergist investment in human and physical capital. As such, it allows the public to be informed on how public monies are being spent and also allow for views of all other parties in the legislature to influence the department concerns. Chair, the ANC-led government has made much progress and has tangible proof in many communities in relation to budget expenditure. And it is no secret that it is the only ANC-led government that came up with a strategy of expanding shelter for the poor through an RDP. Likewise, Chair, over the past 25 years, we are in democracy. The Human Settlement Department has done an immense progress in ensuring that the budget is spent in line with expectations of the people, guided by the Freedom Charter's call for shelter, security, and peace. It is based on this premise that so many people have benefited from the government budget allocation to human settlement. Chairperson, 15,516 households have been benefited from the new housing, security, and comfort in many KwaZulu-Natal communities in year 2019-20. This action, Chair, clearly proves that the provincial financial framework makes a considerable commitment to change and comprehensive development as it funds the development of houses and incomes of the underprivileged. The department have countless projects aimed to create human abilities and boost jobs creation and economic change. Therefore, effective budget implementation can be seen as a high transformation tool for the development of the province. Chairperson, allow me to mention that this department has proven to us that their budget has been beneficial to the poor and working families, as the National Treasurer advised the province through issuing Gazette number 43050 that 98.5 million is added to the Human Settlement Development Grant in the year 2019-20. This again verifies that the department aligns constitutionally mandated social rights. Hence, it is important that you are applauded, MEC, and your team. You have set an example as the additional funding from Treasurer was due to the department received is because of the department performance. Honorable Chairperson, the Human Settlement Budget is pro-poor budget, as we have seen the poor people living from shacks being moved to decent houses, such as Konubia Housing Project, which is on the flagship of the department in partnership with Tongati Hulets and eThekwini Municipality to bring about sustainable livelihoods. Slalo, 25,000 housing units have been targeted under this program. Phase 1 resulted in 2,661 units, which the department has reported to be completed. In Phase 2, the department reported that this phase consists of 23,000 housing opportunities in the gap income market, and social housing is underway. Other catalytic projects include the Amawoti Umlazi Kwamashu and eThekwini Inner City, just to name a few, which will contribute to economic empowerment, eradication of economic empowerment, eradication of informal settlement, and sustainable livelihoods. Chairperson, as pronounced by the Premier during the opening of the legislature earlier this year, the flagship Vulindlela housing project in Msunduzi, which started in 2011 and consists of 25,000 housing units, is about to be completed at the cost of 2.5 billion. This project has resulted in employment of 1,713 workers during the construction, targeting the poor and vulnerable groups, such as women-headed households and persons with disability. Sihlalo kumele ngikusho ukuthi le project ngabe seyiphelile ukuba kuzange kube ne-lockdown evele ngenxa yokuba khona kwegciwane ebelingalindelwe muntu okuyi-coronavirus. Chair, in line with the ANC call of radical socio-economic transformation, we have seen from this department the prioritization of 53 Black-owned companies now undertake planning and construction work in the department. And the department has assured us that the project utilized labor and material is supplied by SMMEs, which serve as intervention to support rural and township economies as explicitly presented by the Premier in the SOPA. Sihlalo, the ANC has always reminded us to implement structured support to Black-owned companies. In the housing and residential property sector, with special attention to those owned by women, youth, military veterans, and people with disability. A 30% set aside ought to benefit these designated groups and our government on course in line with the resolution. Chairperson, despite the progress made towards addressing the housing needs of the province, the demand for adequate housing remains a formidable and progressive target. The department has been experiencing severe fiscal constraints with the service delivery challenges facing the department, which requires the department to be more responsive and innovative in its endeavor to create sustainable human settlement to improve the quality of household lives in the province. Sihlalo sengiphetha, siyafisa ukubonga kuNgqongqoshe uNkonyeni kunye neteam abambisene nayo ngokuzinikela kumsebenzi wesizwe aphathise wona. Chairperson, together we can do more. The ANC support the budget. I thank you.
Thank you. To Honorable Mbatacele. We are now moving to our next speaker, which will be from the EFF, Honorable PP Harricks, for 9 minutes.
Greetings, Madam Speaker, honorable members, Premier, colleagues, members of the diplomatic corps, fellow citizens. From the first day of the lockdown, our province has been in a time of cautionary, time that is best not to take risks, a time to follow through and carry out a plan without deviation. We send our expression of sympathy to all affected by the pandemic. Social distance remained a must, while fellow South Africans struggle on different slums, with most lack reliable sanitation services, supply of clean water, and reliable electricity. The 10 worst slums in the world, with various numbers in total who face serious challenges. 1/4 of those living in a city resides in a slum, which equates to more than 900 million globally. With proper assistance, dedication, unity, government reconstruction, many of the factors contributing to the creation of a slum can be put to an end. KwaZulu-Natal Department of Human Settlement is vested with a sufficient budget for provision of housing to various sectors of the population, including rural areas and informal settlements. With the budgetary considerations to demolish informal settlements, transit camps, slums, which are burdened with destitute due to decline expenditure and incompleteness. Access to safe water sanitation is requisite and remains requisite to every Black African with the highest head count of adult poverty. The poverty gap and severity of poverty measures are larger for female-headed households compared to households headed by males. Almost 6 out of every 10 households headed by males compared to over 7 out of every 10 households headed by females in traditional areas, are bearing in mind that KwaZulu-Natal has a very large number of rural communities. The department, aside from other departments, has an urgent need, even looking into the national shortfall of homes. The population is growing. Our country is more unequal than others. Fellow citizens, let's restore Black pride and identity. Let's take a stand against oppression, discrimination, and racism. A step of action, accountability, and change can do a lot for every one of us. The EFF notes this budget. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Harrix. And this few minutes that you have given it to us, now we can move to Honorable Mlotshwa, VR, for 3 minutes. Honorable Mlotshwa, are you there? Honorable Mlotshwa, ukhona. It appears Honorable Mlotshwa might be having a problem with connectivity, or is not there.
It's in the other group.
We may have to come back to Honorable Mlotshwa. We'll ask the technical staff to find out the whereabouts of Mr. Mlotshwa. But in the meantime, we'll continue with the debate and pass on to Honorable Takira Shpansi from MF for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable MEC, the Minority Front participates in this human settlements debate with deep concern of the extent to which COVID-19 has sickened the housing market until the pandemic lifts. The reality is that from the 20th of March 2020, the first vulnerable groups identified, especially in eThekwini, were the homeless and the informal settlements. If the call to stay at home was not enough, residents in the shelters and informal settlements took a beating with the storms in between. With this background, the Minority Front asks you, Honorable MEC, notwithstanding the impact of lockdown measures thus far on the construction industry, stay home. What does COVID-19 mean for affordable housing in KwaZulu-Natal moving forward? People are being asked to stay at home and to practice social distancing to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Hence, with respect to Program 2, the 20.258 million budget, we need to redesign all future housing strategically as we observe how the coronavirus spreads in our communities, notwithstanding the climate change adaptations being explored. As an NPL, I was inundated by calls from eThekwini tenants where landlords were unreasonable, and the Housing Tribunal stats of cases will be useful to the Portfolio Committee to follow up. The budget of 1.4 billion given to eThekwini promises 7 housing opportunities. Honourable members, the Minority Front believes that we need to move from counting houses to making houses count. The Minority Front therefore proposes the following. A, make publicly available administrative data on subsidized housing. B, analyzing the economic impact of our housing subsidy instruments. And C, policy and budget adjustments as COVID-19 stay-at-home order deepens the need for affordable housing opportunities. Yes, KwaZulu-Natal program of action needs a mix of subsidized products, Honorable MEC. The upgrading of informal settlement programs, where all 745 have the highest direct impact of output multiplier of all government subsidized housing programs, including BNG and freestanding housing products. Hence, the Minority Front recommends that the budget be reprioritized in programs which supports incremental housing and informal settlements. This means doubling the allocated 241 million in this budget, or we have to ask Itikweni to use the 1.4 billion USD.
Unfortunately, Honorable Sakaraj Bansi, you have run out of time.
Yeah, but the Minority Front supports a 3.74 million budget for human settlements. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now moving to Honorable VP Kaluza of the African National Congress for 10 minutes.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Speaker of the Legislature and Deputy Speaker, the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Honorable Khuzeni, the Executive yakho yonke, Honorable Nkonyeni, MEC for Human Settlement, Honorable members of the House, I greet you all. The most basic fundamental needs of human beings is shelter, water, and food. These needs guarantee or provide a sense of security for any individual in all socio-economic levels. When people have access to shelter, their lives can prosper, as it can be used for many things. It can be used either as a collateral when making major purchases or even starting a business. Access to proper shelter can also bring about positive behavioral changes to human lives as they begin to prosper. Even learners can focus on their education by doing homework without any interruptions. Parents do not have to worry about harsh weather conditions that can sweep off their houses. It is with this belief that the budget cuts of the Department of Human Settlement will pose a setback in advancing and improve socio-economic life of our people. Honorable Chair, Honorable Nkonyeni has correctly captured our historical spatial inequalities. We know what happened and when and how it happened. The task for the sixth administration is to ensure that our people, from a past designed for a Black person to fail, a past that many see themselves without title deeds. Honorable Chair, our conscience should help us and register that never and ever again shall a Black person live in conditions not even suitable for animals. Our people should not languish in squalor under this administration. We also call upon the department to find cost-effective ways and means to address the eradication of informal settlements in the province, and once and for all, aligned with the National Development Plan and Provincial Growth Development Strategy. We must say upfront, Honorable Chair, we cannot allow under-expenditure in key programs of the department while our people live in despicable conditions. As the year 2020-2021 draws to close, we wish to stress to the department that the phasing out of title deeds restoration grants into the Human Settlement Development Grant should be done seamlessly and without delays so that individuals that qualify for home purchases can be assisted with ease. The aim of this sixth administration is to free our people from the shackles of poverty. And I am pleased that the department has been able to issue 4,469 title deeds in 2019-2020 financial year. Our people would not have voted for the African National Congress if they didn't have confidence that we shall continue with this good work. The Disaster Relief Fund must be utilized to repair houses that were damaged by natural disasters. Honorable Chair, we must be decisive in these issues. The department must present an improvement plan detailing action plans on how it will deal with the backlog. It cannot take so much time, Honorable Chair, to repair houses that were damaged as far back as 2017. Honorable Chair, the outbreak of COVID-19 has had a major impact for the department like all other sectors, which makes it even more glaring is the fact that to win the fight against this pandemic, one requires proper shelter with access to clean running water and sanitation. As such, informal settlements, transit camps, hostels and old township have a high number of population that poses a higher risk in spreading this virus. We must embrace this new normal and adapt innovative ways and operations, and especially on saving every cent that our people can have access to decent shelter and a sense of security. Honorable Chair, I applaud the MEC for her leadership and agency in which the department has moved to collaborate with other sectors in finding innovative ways to deliver services in a fast and efficient way. The budget cuts, Honorable Chair, will be felt greatly by the Human Settlement Development Grant, the land purchase that was meant to address the informal settlements, as well as the capacity building program for community-based organization on human settlement program. As I have mentioned, Honorable Chair, it is under these circumstances that the new normal calls for all of us to think outside the box or even remove the box in its entirety in order to find solutions towards reducing or upgrading informal settlements into sustainable formalized structures. These innovative programs, Honorable Chair, and initiative must be documented as one of the best practices so that over time we are able to learn from them. But most importantly, as time changes and evolves, we must continuously improve and adjust to new technologies. We welcome the introduction of the Informal Settlement Upgrading Partnership Grant to swiftly deal with the issue of eradicating informal settlements in the province. We further note progress being made on the catalytic project in eThekwini Metro, Amajuba, King Cetshwayo, and Ilembe districts. Honorable Chair, we request all partners involved in these projects for their cooperation in order to complete these projects on time and within budget, as these hinder the progress of the department. We note that the expanded public works program has throughout the years provided social relief while impacting skills, especially to young people. We see the reduction of the budget by almost 30% as a major blow in a country where a majority of young people are unemployed. The initiatives, Honorable Chair, of collaborating with other sectors should benefit the youth so that they are not thrown into a well of despair that eats into the very fiber of our society as they resort to all forms of social ills. We stand united and resolute in the fight against COVID-19 as we slowly progress into the future. Honorable Chair, we ask that Honorable MEC Nkonyeni, where there are interruptions on project or even project cuts, the MEC should consult all affected stakeholders to assure them of our commitment as the sixth administration led by Honorable Khuzeni. We must not find a situation, Honorable Chair, where there are interruptions. Members of the general society are not informed as to the progress thereof, because siyazi ukuthi sihlalo uma ngabe umphakathi wakithi ugculisekile noma unolwazi abazusola uhulumeni ngokungenzi lutho. NgesiZulu ke sihlalo baye bathi inja iyawaqeda amanzi ngolimo. This is the situation we find ourselves in lolu bhubhane olusihlasele umhlaba wonke. Ngakho ke sicela ukuthi abasebenzi bomnyango sihlalo ngaphansi kwaNgqongqoshe uNkonyeni bakhumbule ukuthi le mpi soyinqoba uma siyimbumba futhi sihlangene ukuze abantu bakithi bakwazi ukuhlomula ngezinhlelo ezinhle kangaka esizethulelwa uhulumeni kaKhongolose. Honorable Chair, kuyajabulisa ke ukuzwa uHonorable Mayor esivumela ngokwakhe ukuthi obabomkhulu bakhe esihlalo deprive us the opportunity of walking tall with housing ownership rights, something that now must be rectified by the ANC-led government as the progressive government. Kumnandi-ke ukuthi kuba uyena ozisholo ngokwakhe ukuthi indeed the spatial development and the injustices of the past are as a result of abobabomkhulu bakhe. nokuthi ke sibone ukuthi indlela ababenza ngayo kwayena uyabona ukuthi akuyona indlela ekwakumele kwenzeke ngayo. Honorable MEC, ziningi inhlelo zenazo edepartmentini, sibonile imizi eminingi yakhiwa nama-project amaningi akhiwa konke Mgungundlovu kojika Joe okhonobya lapha abantu bakithi abaningi sibabonile behlomula nokuthi futhi bazoqhubeka bahlomule Honorable Chair ngezindlu eziletha isidima neziletha isithunzi ebantwini bakule province yethu yaKwaZulu-Natal. Ngakho-ke siyasho siyaqhubeka futhi sithi mphathiswa othunywe ukhongolose inqole emasondosondo ungaqhubeki uqhubeke nokusebenzela ungayeki uqhubeke nokusebenzela isizwe sakithi la KwaZulu-Natal. Ngakho-ke sesikusho konke sihlalo siyasemukela-ke isabelo zimali somnyango waka-Human Settlement singukhongolose. Siyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you, Honorable Galuza. We now quickly move to Honorable Phakathi, ME, from ATM, for 3 minutes. Honorable Phakathi, are you there? It looks like it's quiet. We'll move on in the meantime while we are trying to trace Honorable Phakathi, and therefore go to Honorable Manqele for 3 minutes of the ACDP.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greeting the MEC and all protocol observes. The challenge for the creation of sustainable settlement goes further than only provision of the housing. Government recognized this following the President Zuma's proclamation in 2009 to change the Department of Housing to the Department of Human Settlement. The focus shifted from housing being just a roof over people's heads to providing sustainable and integrated human settlement where people can work, pray, play, and have access to all amenities required on their day-to-day living. The mission of the Department of Human Settlement is therefore to facilitate the creation of sustainable human settlement and improve the quality of household life. Therefore, this department should have a proper planning before implementation. South Africa is a water-stressed country, and different economic sectors are competing to share of administering water supply. Electricity has become more common in South Africa as a source of energy for cooking since 1996. Access to sanitation services is important, not only for human dignity, but also because of its direct link with the disease control and the potential impact on water resources and solid waste. These essentials should be accompany each structure created by this department. The department and district municipalities with access to engineering services such as water, electricity, sanitation, roads, and solid waste collection should formulate an intergovernmental relationship with this department to fast-track service delivery. This department needs more budget, more qualified, and more competent skills. ACDP has noticed and developed strategy formalizing by the resources and developing the capacity required for implementing of the plan of this department. Have also noticed that this department has carefully identified areas of interdepartmental collaborations and developed a monitoring and evaluation tools to to assist the department. Therefore, as ACDP, we trust the department and we hope it's going to do more. And with that, we accept the budget proposed.
Have expired. Thank you. We are now moving on to back to Honorable Mayor for 4 minutes of the DA.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Sure. It seems members from the governing party do not like it if you point out things that is not happening well. It is not meant as criticism to put anything in a bad spot. It is meant as part of our job to help each other to perform better. But I must point out to the honourable member from the ANC, I never used the phrase title deeds delivery is slow. The person who used that phrase was actually the Honourable MEC who said that. So I don't know whose speech you are upset with, whether it's mine or the MEC's that you are upset with. But we can't disagree with the facts that the title deed handover is not going as planned and that we need to do better. Also to the honourable member who spoke on expropriation and that without compensation, we must also point out that I'm dealing with cases where expropriation claims hasn't been dealt with since 1995. The land is there. The processes is there. It is the governing party who has failed to use these processes to get land available and to build the houses on them. Honourable Chairperson, one of the biggest challenges for human settlements is that the department is ultimately responsible for matters that is not always directly in its control. Housing provision is seriously affected by the failures of our district municipalities in the province. A home is not just 4 walls and a roof. It is a bathroom, plumbing, running water, electricity. For a house to be dignified housing, it needs access to services. It needs roads, pavements for children to safely walk on. Emergency services should be able to reach there. It needs storm drainage. And in this current world we live in, we even need to make sure there's data connectivity. The department cannot build homes if there is no bulk infrastructure available. But human settlements are not the provider of this bulk infrastructure. That is the responsibility of the district municipalities mostly, although some services are provided by the local municipalities. And this is where so many of the department's issues lie. The budgets get approved, the plans are made, everything from the department is in place, but the municipalities fail to provide the bulk infrastructure that is required. Now, the reasons given are as many as there are crows under the sun, but the fact is that people are not receiving homes due to a failure of municipalities to live up to their part of this bargain. While the DA as a constitutional party understands and upholds the separation of the mandates between the different spheres of government, we cannot allow this to continue. Because this isn't a desktop exercise, a purely theoretical problem. This is a problem that directly affects the lives of people. It directly affects this institution, the KZN provincial legislature, as we cannot ensure service delivery. And delivery of homes to people who need it. It is time the department and the MEC tackles this head on. Together with her counterpart in COCTA, it is time that underperforming mayors and underperforming municipalities are called to account for this. I do understand that there is a culture within the ANC of protecting its own, but an MEC must take action no matter which political party governs a particular municipality, like Ugu, where this is an ongoing problem. So please, Honourable MEC, with your very able HOD, identify the municipalities where this is holding back the development of new human settlements projects and act to ensure that infrastructure as agreed upon is developed and delivered. Honourable Chairperson, I must mention that the budget is only as good as its implementation. Over and underspending is symptoms of bad budget, but this is addressed. Another symptom is unauthorised expenditure. I understand that sometimes it happens.
Thank you, Honourable Mayor. Unfortunately, it's the time.
Thank you,
allocated. Yes. We couldn't get hold of Honorable Mlocha, and we have received a message from the technical staff that he had forfeited his time because he's on another debate. We'll be with him on Thursday, that is tomorrow. So we are now going to move to the IFP. Honorable MJ Mazibuko for 7 minutes.
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, Honorable MEC and our guests, it is appropriate that I begin by placing on record that this year, 2020, completes 45 years since the Inkatha Freedom Party emerged from the womb of South Africa. I wish therefore to salute the visionary, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who toiled day and night to turn a dream into a reality. I also pay tribute to multitudes of young and old who sacrificed themselves for this organization and for our country. It will be amiss of me if I do not revisit what the Prince said in 1980, and I quote, "Inkatha is born in the hearts and minds of the people. It follows the noble traditions of the struggle, which Black South Africa has pursued since the inception of the African National Congress in 1912. When we have triumphed over apartheid, when the pernicious homeland policy of the South African government has been destroyed, Inkatha will remain as an organization of the people. Inkatha members join the movement because they are true South Africans committed to the struggle," I end quote. It is very unfortunate, Honorable Chairperson, that this debate takes place during the COVID-19 pandemic that has wreaked havoc on governments and citizens of the world. This pandemic finds South Africa in a very unfortunate economic situation as well. Therefore, this is sure to plunge the Department of Human Settlements in a situation of swimming against the tide when they are trying to achieve their set targets. What complicates the very worst situation is that in the midst of these problems, there are unpatriotic individuals and cartels that are bent on taking the country down through corruption. It was against this background that I was heartened when the MEC at our last Portfolio Committee meeting unequivocally stated her commitment to uprooting corruption. Honorable Chairperson, the MEC has spoken about disasters that befell our people, natural disasters. It is therefore appropriate, Honorable Chairperson and members, to report that in February this year, I received cries for help from some residents of Ward 11, KwaMeyi, in Umzimkhulu municipality. Their complaints were that since 24 December 2019, they have been living in terrible conditions because of the floods which destroyed their dwellings. I wrote to His Worship, Mayor Babanga, who promptly responded to my email. Let me state for the record that I was impressed by the urgent response that I received from His Worship. In his response, His Worship indicated, among other things, that, and I quote, "COGTA, together with Human Settlements Department, vowed to provide the beneficiaries with materials for repairing houses for those partially damaged and those that are totally damaged. Human Settlements is undertaking the program of providing them with houses," end quote. Unfortunately, however, when I checked again this week, I was informed that nothing has happened to ensure that the shelterless are attended to. I think it is appropriate, therefore, that I place this matter before the Honorable MEC. Secondly, when the Honorable Speaker deployed us to the Herigwala district recently, under the leadership of Honorable Zinhle Cele, we picked up some issues from some farm workers. A group of farm workers in Ixopo from a certain ward reported that they had not benefited from the housing program. They accused a certain induna of being selective in the way he oversees the delivery of houses to the people. And I think this too is at the right place that I place it before the MEC. And Honorable Chairperson, the MEC has also spoken about the question of transit camps. And I'm reminded of the fact that in her speech last year, the Honorable MEC committed to the department. Actually, it was a commitment from the Premier, which she supported, that this term will see them doing away with all transit camps. We appreciate that commitment, and we hope that indeed they will stand by their word. I also wish to commend the department for showing positive results with their rural housing development program, which ensures that our people who reside in areas under the leadership of African indigenous leaders do receive houses. And I'm aware that this has been the trend for some time now, that rural areas do not present problems to the department when they have to build houses. And I wish to, in addition, to say that the IFP wishes to salute Amakhosi as well of this province for ensuring that the people they lead benefit from the government housing programs. It is important to note this because in some quarters, Ubukhosi is castigated as relics of the past that have no place in a democracy. It is very unfortunate that here on the African soil, there are people who think in this way, who think that Amakhosi should be thrown into the dustbin of history. So what is happening in their places is proof that indeed they have a place in a democracy that we have in South Africa. In any case, we are in Africa. I wish also to state for the record that we noted the commitment by the MEC and the Premier.
Honorable Member, unfortunately, Yolanda is cut. The time has expired. Thank you. We are now going to move to the last speaker, which is from the African National Congress, Honorable TV Kulu.
Honorable Chair, greeting Honorable Chair, greeting to our Honorable Premier, Uzigalala, Honorable Members, HODs, officials, compatriots, ngiyanibingelela. Kule nyanga Honorable Mjali aqale ngako, where we celebrate this Youth Month and also celebrating the 65 years of our Freedom Charter. Honorable Chair, angale wela khona umama Honorable Kumede. One of the things as a shilo ile ekhuluma ngokuthi some of municipalities are failing to deliver into their mandates. I think Honorable Kumede, she was part of that meeting, including Honorable Mayor and Honorable Mazibuko. They were all there in that meeting where the issue of Omaspala abahlulekayo deliver to their mandate. So I believe just to remind them the issue was discussed. Honorable Chair, I want to talk into very few issues. The KZN Department of Human Settlement exists to provide the housing in terms of Section 26 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, as well as the Housing Act number 107 of 1997. The current restructuring of the department is based on the requirements to improve performance and initiative that seeks to improve on the performance of the department and the alignment of its structure with its legislative mandate. Firstly, has to look into challenges that necessitate this change. The changes with the current organizational structure are as follows. The existing organizational structure of the department was approved by the Eastwell Executive Authority on the 25th of April 2008, although
the organizational structure was amended between then and now. Operational gaps were identified and this structure is no longer viable as it is not fully aligned to the national and provincial government mandates. The following challenges were identified during the diagnostic review. Non-representation of human settlement at some district or local municipalities. A service delivery model that is not decentralized to district local municipalities to bring service closer to customers, beneficiaries, to answer to some of the questions that were asked by some honorable members. Unnecessary traveling time which could be spent on improving the quality of human settlement projects. Project delays for various reasons, among them backlogs in bulk infrastructure, land and environmental impact assessment. The current delivery model is slow and fragmented service delivery is experienced. The root cause of which is poor intergovernmental planning and coordination accompanied by poor quality of services and land invasions. This not only stands in stark contrast to the goal of the department in terms of the delivering transformed human settlements and sustainable livelihoods, but also inhibits the department from meeting its predefined constitutional and legislative mandate. Population challenges, particularly in urban immigration and the burden of rural province beset with poverty are also impediments to the realization of the department mandate. Some of these challenges then stem from the legacy of apartheid. We cannot deny that. With historically marginalized communities being placed at the periphery of our society, this requires transformative spatial planning and the innovative use of existing capacities and skills, as well as a response that places amenities within each of these sustainable communities. All these challenges point to the need for a radical shift in the delivery model for the Department of Human Settlement in KZN. With the burgeoning population challenges of poverty and unemployment in already strained fiscal environment come into sharp focus, when the state is perceived as delaying its delivery to the frustrated and neglected communities, it resorts to land invasions. This challenge is exacerbated by a lack of coordinated and localized communications models that have ordinary citizens as their target audience. The resulting trust deficit creates conditions that are necessary for mushrooming of informal settlements across the province as the need for housing intensifies. On the district development model, the newly installed model of district coordination is at the center of human settlement repositioning and approach to integrated services delivery in the province. The model seeks to foster integrated and coordinated collaborative efforts between different spheres and sectors. The model will provide for dedicated capacity support responsibly for managing horizontal and vertical integration. The vision is clear, a push towards coordinated effort at national, provincial, and local levels of governments. Coalescing around the same objective to achieve maximum impact of the intervention and programs on the ground, goals of spatial integration, its improved service delivery, among others, underscore the importance of alignment to the national department plan, the medium-term strategy framework, as well as provincial priorities. This will be in realization of the impact statement for the Department of Human Settlement, which is to transform human settlement into livable neighborhoods through integrated housing programs in areas with major economic opportunities and empowerment designs group. In the new organizational structure that we also propose, the new structure seeks to respond to the following: the establishment of the strengthened project management capacity and capability within capacity, a suite of professional skills sought from within the built environmental profession to be deployed, allocated to district to build district technical capacity. The skewed distribution of permanent versus contract staff within the department, a strong technical unit within the department, as Honorable Mangele also alluded to. The strengthening the research and innovation capacity of the department, support for youth development, public participation initiatives and social facilitation, capacity for strategic intelligence data, analytical capability, research, and analytic and creation of hub of intelligence, mainstreaming and institutionalizing the sustainable development goals, spearheading local economic development, strengthen intergovernmental relationship, capability in relation to human settlements delivery, reorganization of M&E capacity for district support and organizational performance, and initial formal functional and operational structure design with purpose and function and the government structure that will enable the functional operational structure to function. The past performance highlights because the department has delivered the finance-linked individual subsidy program. The finance-linked subsidy program was introduced by the National Department of Finance, Human Settlement to cater for the middle income market. The implementation of this program has over the years been a challenge in the province and national, resulting in underperformance against the set targets. In the 2019-2020 financial year, the department embarked on a communication strategy drive that increased awareness about this program with key stakeholders such as financial institutions, developers, estate agents, conveyancers, and potential first beneficiaries in the primary and secondary market. As a result, the 2019-2020 flip target of 300 subsidies was exceeded by 34%. And a total of 401 flip subsidies were issued by the department to qualifying beneficiaries. In the rural housing, I'm here standing and say Vulindlela housing project was one of the best that has been delivered by the human settlement. 25,000 housing, you cannot find this anywhere in Africa. That was done by the same department and done successfully. Now, when you talk of the rural housing program, which caters for beneficiaries in rural areas, has for the past 5 years exceeded its annual targets. A total of 56,052 rural houses has been built across the province over the past 5 years. In 2019-2020 financial year alone, the department delivered a total of 9,874 rural housing against an annual target of 7,850. Ngiyafuna ukukhumbuza Honorable Mazibu ukuthi uyakwazi lokhu kwakwenzekani before. This resulted in achievement of 126%.
Yenzeni kuwe Xolo? Yenzeni kuwe?
Lutho. Majority of people who benefited from this program are vulnerable and poorest of the poor. Enhanced people housing program that involves community members in the construction of their own houses has exceeded its target for the past 5 years. A total of 14,359 houses has been delivered over the past 5 years, with Vulindlela EPHP project in the Umgungulu district municipality being the highest performer in this program. In the 2019-2020 financial year, the program delivered the total of 2,111 houses against the annual target of 1,673. I hope Honorable Mayor is still listening. And consumer on education program. The department consumer education program aimed at educating beneficiaries about homemade has reached over 37,000 beneficiaries in the past 2 years. This was achieved through successful partnership with the stakeholders, such as municipalities, local councillors, Amakose, and others. Remember, we've managed to do this successfully because we're those progressive Amakosi Kavulindlela. So we do agree and acknowledge that there are those progressive Amakosi out there that are leaders of our people out there. But also, ngiyafuna ukuyela lapha ku Honorable Mayor before ngivale ukuthi Honorable Mayor, I'm happy ukuthi today he seems to be celebrating quite a lot of things. Just to remind him, it's on
Honorable Xolo,
on behalf of the ANC, we support.
Asakurekhodi lokho.
Yeah.
Masibuko mnganami.
Thank you, I'll send you Honorable Kulu.
We are now asking for Honorable Npinkonyeni.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. And let me take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all honorable members who participated in this debate. Let me also start off by also expressing our heartfelt condolences to the Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlements for having lost Mkulu yesterday. We are saying may her soul rest in peace. Honorable Chair, we also appreciate the fact that the Portfolio Committee has actually supported our budget. We were actually expecting Honorable Mayor to state the reasons why he had reservations, or the DA had reservations in terms of supporting the budget that was presented. Is it because they are opposing the provision of housing units to the vulnerable people, to young people, to women out there, and to MK veterans out there? What are they opposing? Why do they have reservations? But he decided not to state the reasons. But nonetheless, we appreciate that the entire committee has actually approved the budget. Honorable Mjali, we were very proud, as the department, to hear a young person who is representing other young people in the provincial legislature of KwaZulu-Natal telling us that actually as young people, they are capable of defining their future. Honorable Mjali even stated that they believe that a house is where everything begins and that a house is where everything ends. Indeed, it is very true, Honorable Mjali, that housing needs out there need to be actually dealt with, and our people are always waiting for us to provide them with solid houses with livable human settlements. Indeed, we are also guided by the Freedom Charter in all our articulations as the Department of Human Settlements, and we also bear in mind all the articulations that are reflected in the NDP, in the PGDP, and in all other statutory documents that we have adopted. We will advance spatial integration as it is expected of us, and unfortunately, we do not have adequate resources that will assist us in ensuring that we are everywhere where our people need. But of course, we will ensure that where the department is capable of providing human settlements, we will definitely make sure that the different typologies that we are providing human settlements through are implemented everywhere. We did receive a budget of 98 million rands, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members, based on the fact that there was evidence that the department is capable of spending the allocated budget and even beyond. So we benefited from that. We have been benefiting from quite a long time, which is highly, highly appreciated. It shows that we are committed in whatever we do. With regards to Honorable Gumede's comments, indeed, the decrease in the budget is regrettable. And I wish to indicate that we are very committed in ensuring that we build solid structures for our residents who are residing in informal settlements. Nobody will ever support a situation whereby our vulnerable people are residing in squalor and they are suffering from abject poverty that was actually inherited from the apartheid regime. We're trying by all means to ensure that we eradicate the transit camps. It is not an easy process, but we have already eradicated 6 transit camps in the past financial year, and we will ensure that we eradicate all transit camps based on the fact that we find land, we find adequate resources, we build solid structures and move people. And I did indicate in my earlier presentations that we also want to demolish, and we are encouraging municipalities to demolish those transit camps as soon as we relocate people to solid structures. So the municipalities are actually cooperating, and there is no problem with that. With regards to the irregular expenditure, honorable members, we wish to remind the House that indeed we obtained, we were not very proud as the department to have been mentioned as one of those departments who incurred an irregular expenditure of 5.4 billion rands during the period of 2018-2019. It's something that has been happening over a period of time. It's not our fault, honorable members. Numerous attempts have been made by the department to ensure that we obtain documents from municipalities that could not provide us with the documents that were needed by the Auditor General in order for us to be properly audited, but we have failed. But however, as much as there is that irregular expenditure that has been touted, we want to indicate that value for money was received. It doesn't mean that because there was this 5.4 billion rands of irregular expenditure that was incurred, nothing happened. Houses are on the ground and people are staying in them. There is pressure on the department to finalize this matter, as it is now 3 years since the cases were under investigation. And some municipalities have already indicated that they are unable to find the documents procured in the past 10 years. And furthermore, management has since changed in those particular municipalities that could not provide us with documents. And the department has implemented a turnaround strategy and overhauled its standard operating procedures, aiming at eliminating irregular expenditure. The department has entered into bilateral agreements with municipalities as these projects were already in the construction stages. And for the newly committed projects, the department is appointing from its database of service providers, and the department is in the process of taking over developer status away from some of the municipalities that have not performed. The department's supply chain management processes have finalized the appointment of service providers for both integrated planning, which is stage 1, and for the construction of services and top structures, which are stage 2 and stage 3, respectively. Honorable Mayor has instructed the department to look for alternative approaches. Of course, I think all honorable members who participated did indicate that we need to be more innovative as the department. We will be looking at that. And by the mere fact that even in our approach of provision of housing, we are now targeting vulnerable groups, SMMEs, cooperatives, to ensure that they also supply building materials, and we we procure local labor, it does show that we are beginning to look at alternative ways of implementing our projects. We have serviced 14,920 sites, which also show that we are not only focusing on BNG typology, but we are focusing on either typologies of human settlements delivery, like your social housing, like your fleece, as Honorable Kulu was actually referring to that. We are also going around as a department trying to ensure that we expose these other housing human settlement typologies to our people out there, including to the corporate sector, because we realized that most people were not even aware of the social housing housing project or fleece. There are few people who were aware of those. So we're going around empowering our people with information. Of course, we will be continuing with that program. Because of the lockdown, we had to stall some of our programs. Yes, we are rooting out corruption in the department, and we have concluded 9 investigations, and consequence management has been applied and emanating from the reports that we received. With regards to informal settlements upgrade program, indeed, we are upgrading our informal settlements in the year 2019, 2020. There were 4,134 housing units built and 1,170 services that were installed. And that what I'm mentioning here is excluding the USDG allocation, which is utilized by eThekwini Metro. So in other words, the figure when we incorporate eThekwini Metro will be even more than what I have reflected there. Transit camps have been certain transit camps have been cleared, like your Quarry Heights, Martinini, Verulam, Trinance Park, Belvedere School Site, Kwadabeka, Richmond Farm, Tongat, Pulugwane, Castle Hall, which shows that we are doing something about the TRAs. With regards to title deeds restoration program, in the past 9 years, we have managed to issue out 38,174 title deeds throughout the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Currently in the system, we have 13,028 applications that have been lodged through the legal systems, and we are very committed. This is one program, honorable members, that really gives us, especially myself, sleepless nights, because we really want to ensure that we restore our people's dignity, thereby issuing these title deeds to them. The reasons why sometimes it becomes so slow for us to issue out title deeds are as follows. Like, for instance, before we complete the process, there should be a verification of the beneficiaries. Sometimes it becomes very, very difficult because you will find out that in a particular house, members of the family that used to stay there are no longer there, and maybe the house has been rented out, and it becomes difficult to find those people who are supposed to benefit from this program. So the verification process becomes very, very slow and tedious. Sometimes the occupants, we find occupants who are not supposed to be legal beneficiaries. I think Honorable Mbatha-Cele, we appreciate all your comments. Indeed, we are doing something with regards to the catalytic projects that were mentioned by the Premier. Mbatha-Cele mentioned Konubia. I alluded to 8 catalytic projects that are in a process of being implemented in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Indeed, the VDA, Vulindlela Development Program, is a flagship program of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, whereby 25,000 housing units are about to be complete. And we are looking at ways on how can the department replicate such a program to other areas, because we have observed a situation whereby local people from that particular area were really empowered, even in terms of benefiting from the economic spin-off that presented themselves through the VDA housing project. So we really appreciate the fact that it's about to be complete. We are now receiving the close-out report from those from the housing units, for the housing units that are complete right now, and we are hoping that the remaining ones are going to be completed in due course. And of course, the buzzword that we had from all members is innovation, innovation, innovation. We appreciate that, honorable members. Honorable Herricks mentioned the fact that everybody is worried about the decline in the budget allocation for provision of human settlements. Indeed, it's a cause for worry to all of us. We did mention, honorable members, that we are allocated, the budget that is allocated to us, only 2 billion rands is meant for the 10 districts. If you do not count eThekwini Metro, 2 billion rands for such a big province is actually nothing. But through innovations, we will be able to provide housing units that are of high standards, whereby our people could really realize the dream of the Freedom Charter, as it has been mentioned. We also appreciate all what Honorable Thakur Rajbansi has advised us on. We will make sure that even through the portfolio committee, we report on some of the innovative ideas that she has advised us to look at. We appreciate Honorable Taluza when she said our people should not be allowed to live in squalor in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Indeed, we are intervening, Honorable Taluza, but we are not, of course, we are now working through the intergovernmental and integrated approach of our government. We will continue ensuring that we provide what is necessary for our people. And you also advise us to think outside the box. We are currently doing exactly that. As the construction industry is now opening up, we have a backlog. We do acknowledge the fact that innovations will assist us to address the backlog that we are faced with currently. Honorable Manele, thank you very much for all your contribution. The matter of sustainable human settlements, of course, is meant to improve the quality of our people's lives. Honorable Mayor, when he came back, did indicate that some municipalities did not perform So we need to be innovative enough to ensure that those who do not perform are excluded from implementing our projects. Sometimes, yes, I do feel that we are actually abdicating our responsibility as the Department of Human Settlements. The municipalities are actually expected to provide bulk services. We need them at different stages. We need municipalities. We just cannot do away with working with municipalities. But when it comes to accounting for what has been allocated to them, if they cannot account, then that is where we withdraw our relationship with them.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. Angicabanga ukuthi asikweletane. But the 20 minutes have expired. And sisizwe. Thanks a lot. Okay. We have come to the end of our budget speech for human settlement. We are now going to adjourn until tomorrow, where we'll be continuing with other speeches, presentation. Till tomorrow, asivalelise, sibonane kusasa.